thing doesn't make it right. And so, in the event that you get a ticket, nothing is wrong with the ticket because you're committing an offense.
Mm-hmm.
You might say to yourself that the officer is not using his or her discretion.
Right. Now, nothing is wrong with the ticket, but you might feel to yourself that you shouldn't get a ticket because it's justified that you're trying to get home. But that's no excuse. That's what you're saying.
That is no excuse.
Okay.
Because you should have given yourself enough time.
Mm-hmm.
And DQ, I want to point out to the general public that we are having more accidents now. More accidents now during the curfew, the start of the curfew.
Mm.
Let's take last week, for example.
Mm-hmm.
There was an accident in Brighton, GQ. And that accident...
That's just outside of Keon, right?
Yes. And that accident would have happened, GQ, at 11 p.m. And that is when the curfew starts. And so this accident happened at 11. It was a 3-vehicle accident. Someone in front stopped suddenly.
And then everyone is collided.
And then the other one just collided.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the persons who were driving one of those vehicles, she was traveling to Newton Ground.
Wow.
And the accident happened at 11 o'clock at Brighton. And she had to travel all the way to Newton Ground.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give yourself enough time.
Mm-hmm.
Because it means then you have to speed. And in listening to one of the persons who got into the accident, she was going to Newton Ground. She was taking that route because she recognized that there is always police officers on the west.
She admitted that.
Admitted that. So she's trying to get away from the officers from the west.
Got into accidents.
On the east.
Wow.
So we are asking the general public to be mindful and be compliant of the COVID, of the curfew that is put in place. This was not done by the licensing authority. And so we have to be respectful. The curfew starts at 8 p.m. and it ends at 5 a.m. Speeding would always occur, GQ, because in the event that persons have an emergency,
mm-hmm.
and that is understandable.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there's an emergency and you have to speed, yes. But you're trying to get home because you did not judge your timing correctly. Give yourself about an hour. Let's say you live in St. Paul's and you're traveling from Bastille. You don't know what is going to happen. There might be some unforeseen circumstances. And so you have to give yourself enough time. What am I going to meet on the road? Bearing in mind that there are roadworks going on. And so you have to take where you're going to have in some areas, you have to drive a little slower, be more cautious. And so you, as a driver, must tell yourself, okay, and bearing in mind that there is a speed limit.
Mm-hmm.
Because during your traveling from Bastille to your destination, let's say St. Paul's,
mm-hmm.
There are villages, and in villages it's 20 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to put all of these things in place and in your mind,
mm-hmm.
knowing exactly what you want to, how you're going to get yourself from Bastille to Sandy Point, to Deer Bay, to Atlas, within the speed limit
mm-hmm.
and within the timing that you're given. And so we're just asking the general public out there to just bear with us and be respectful. The SR&O would have been read and everybody would have gotten the information. And so let us all just comply and be respectful. I would stop at this time, GQ, just in case anybody wants to send in a question. And we are inviting you to do so at this time.
Sure. 465-2555. That's 2555. And for those of you in the United States area and Canada, you can use our exchange line, 718-577-2916. Let's go to the phone line and let's take our first call. Good morning, you're live.
Good morning.
Hey.
And good morning to Donnelly Shiverton Libert.
Good morning.
Always a pleasure listening to you, Donnelly.
Thank you so much.
I love the prayer, and I realize the pastor with you, the host, he's complying by saying amen. It's very good. I listen attentively. So he getting his tick now.
Yes.
Yes, Donnelly, in relation to the speeding and person not making the adjustment is unfortunate. Because up to last night I was here on my veranda, and after 8 you see in vehicles rushing, literally rushing. And as you rightly said, it makes no sense. You cannot live in the countryside at this far distance and expect to get there and leave at a certain time from Bar State. It's impossible. And the only way you're going to get to your destination is by speeding. And as you said, the road, and at present, the next thing we have to take into consideration, we are getting some rain. So the road is wet. That is a big you have to take into consideration. And person just needs to make the adjustment. And it's not like it was just announced, so you knew long before, this is the time. It was 11, now it's 8. And unless you have some emergency, as you said, or you're an essential worker going from work, you shouldn't be on the road. And at the end of the day, we see what is happening. We went from 94 to 119 in one day. This thing is real. The spread is real. So there is as much as possible you can avoid crowd and being at your home. That's the best thing you can do. But Daniel, as usual, it's a great show. And I just pray and hope that persons, unless they have a lot of money and they have money to waste or they have money to give back to the government and they want to be on the road, let them continue, and then you all just have to do what you have to do. And to me, this is no discretion. You're not supposed to be on the road at a certain time unless you're an essential worker. Case closed. You all have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man. Let's take this next call. Good morning. You are live. Oh, okay. She said sorry, so I guess that was a call for somewhere else by mistake. Over to you, Donnelly, while we wait for another call or two.
Yes. I just want to let the general public know as well that the risk in speeding, you start driving recklessly because you're telling yourself, I have to get home. You're looking at the time, it's 10 minutes to 11 o'clock, I have to drive to Sandy Point, and you start driving at a risk. And so, start driving fast. If you can get out of control, persons on the bus, or persons in the car, whatever vehicle you're driving, bam, accident. You go over into a gut, you run into a tree, you run into another vehicle, and so these are what we are trying to explain to the general public that we are running from. And save yourselves, because any accident happen, you might be saving your lives and the persons who you are transporting. And so we are asking you, the general, the communities, to drive with caution. Start your destination. If you live in Atlas and you're leaving from Bastia, start making your way home at 20 past 7, 7:30. Give yourself enough time, because you never could tell what is going to happen while you're driving on the street. While I was driving here to the radio program, to the radio station, Mr. GQ, I recognized there was some road works going on just in that area there by the Washington Archibald High School, from the gas station. And so we are asking motorists, and there's also some road works going on the F.T. Williams Highway, just next to that roundabout that takes you into Greenlands coming from St. Peter's. And so we're asking the general public to be mindful of all of this when you're traveling. And so there are signage, there are cones placed in the street, and so we're asking you to be mindful while driving.
All right. We don't have any calls at the moment, so whatever you like to address, this is your time to do so.
Yes. I would take this opportunity, GQ, to touch on the roundabout. As recent as yesterday, there was a lady who would have called in, and she is very concerned about the use of the roundabout and the way persons would just cut over or would just use the wrong lane. And I always say to people, if you recognize that you're using the wrong lane at a roundabout, you recognize you would have changed your plans while in the roundabout. Do not just cut over. Carry on your journey and just find an exit. Find somewhere where you can turn, as opposed to just cutting across or in front of someone else in the roundabout. Persons who are traveling from Keyon, Connery, Atlas, if you're using the roundabout by the airport, if you're going to the Kim Collins highway, you would stay left. Stay on the outer. If you're traveling downtown to Bastille, if you're going to Ricardo's, if you're going to Flo, you stay on the outer, which is the left. If you're traveling from those same areas, and you're going to F.T. Williams Highway, or if you're going back around the roundabout, you stay on the inner or you stay on the right. If you're coming from Kim Collins and you're traveling downtown or you're going to F.T. Williams Highway, you stay on the left or on the out. If you're going to Connery or Keon, you stay on the inner or on the right. If you're using the Central Bank roundabout.
Before you go to the Central Bank roundabout,
Yes.
let's take this call. Good morning.
Morning, sir, and how are you today?
Hey, I'm not doing too bad.
Good morning to Officer Shiverton Lightbird. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Officer, I have a question. Usually I will speak about what I am on the air when called and then just say goodbye. But I have a question. Who marks the road after being repaired? The people who repair the road or traffic?
In some cases, traffic. In some cases, the person who repairs the road.
Okay, I want to just draw your attention. None of us can see everything. And for a long time, there is my understanding of an opening of a lane to an existing road is to show directly where to turn of that main road into an existing road. That is, of the main road, the existing road of Cunningham Street, the line is straight. It hasn't been opened after being repaired. But people are accustomed to turn. They don't know that's a turning point, but there is a specific turning point based on the width of that space where you turn at all time. I want you all to look at that carefully and see where, if it's necessary, it's going to remain the way, but it will be for a space between the line where you could have turned to go down to Cunningham Street of the Island Main Road. I'm looking at the roundabout in front of the Sand on the Bay Road of Port Sante. There are going to be traffic lights. Hasn't started operating it yet. If I am traveling east, coming from west, want to turn into Port Sante, would that be a problem, A, when the traffic lights start to function, for me to turn and can't turn, where there is a necessary center lane needed, unlike going into gas stations? I'm just making a statement of what I see that is obvious. And speaking about the space between the straight line, if I cannot turn, officer, from the roundabout right in front of Rams, because I'll be turning into traffic, I do not see where, unless there's an emergency, the police officers in the parking lot across from the police station on Keon Street should turn right into traffic. I don't see where it is possible for them to turn. I'm just drawing to your attention of all these things. But do have a good day and get home safe. Drive carefully. Goodbye.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, caller number 2. I would like to answer your questions, try and for me, when it comes to the traffic light now, caller, I would leave this information for the persons who are directly dealing with the traffic lights. I will not attempt to answer the questions, or I will not attempt to say anything on it, because I don't want to tie myself up or to say what I don't know. They are the engineers and they are mindful of what they're doing, and so on another program we can bring them back to the radio station where they can speak to the traffic light and explain to the general public exactly what will happen where the traffic lights are concerned. Where you spoke about the turning from down into Cunningham Street, I would have taken your notes, and so we will be guided accordingly. Thank you so much.
All right, let's go back to the phone line. Let's try this one. Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Pleasant morning.
How are you doing, bro?
Hey, I'm giving thanks, man.
Right. Concerning the traffic department, right? If we go in international, we gotta go international alleyway. Once you enter into Canary, approaching the roundabout, traffic department or public works should put a big bulletin board there with the roundabout drawing on it. And I feel it in myself, it would already surfaced for so long that they should mark it out that people could use it properly. A lot of people get caught up with it because people feel like if you're coming to Basti and FT William, you stay on the outside. People feel like if you're going on the airport, you should stay on the outside as well. And when you bypass that area there now, then you go on the inside. The person on the inside could go Canary or go back to Frigate Bay or whatever the case may be. But not that you're going FT William, then airport, and then you go on the inside. And the person who coming from FT William, sometimes you really realize that you're going an indicator and come out as well. We had a lot of accident there. And I feel like we should use it for going to Basti, as Ricardo as she said, going to FT William and going to airport. And then you got a distance between there now, where the person and the inside that space. Person on the inside that space, because the person coming from FT William, sometimes reaching is wrong, trying to beat the person because they don't understand the person doing the thing that the person going back to Frigate Bay.
I understand what you're saying, sir, and I agree with your point with the signage. But as it stands now, what Donnelly said earlier, do you agree with what she's saying, or you're saying you don't agree with it?
I don't agree with the driving off for airport. Airport, FT Williams, and then going back to Basti should be the same.
So does that mean?
If distance there is too short.
I understand what you're saying, but does that mean you're going to disobey what she's saying and do your own thing?
No.
Okay.
No, me not tell you that.
Okay, I just want to.
From a wider scope.
Yeah, but there's no need to challenge the law now. The law is the law. We understand your point, but it's not going to change. So, as she said, if you're going to town, you stay on the left lane. If you're going to Kim Collins, you stay on the left lane. Right? If you want to go to FT William Highway now, which lane? Tell him which lane to go into.
You stay on the inner or the right.
Okay. That's all she's saying, my buddy. So no need for argument.
But a lot of people get tangled with it, even the police and all, because police said if you're going to FT William and the airport, you stay on the outside.
I hear you, I hear you. But what we just said to you, that is not the case. So there's no need for an argument. She just clearly said what it is. I understand your concern, but just be guided by what she said. And hopefully you and others will do the same.
But let me tell you, Jiki, there is law, and sometimes there is law will change as well.
Well, she's not in the position to change the law. And as I understand it, the police, all they're doing is enforcing the law. They're not law changers or makers.
Yes, I.
All right, buddy. Respect for your call, man. And we do hope you don't disobey what she's saying. I understand what you're saying, but the fact is, it is what it is.
Yes.
You want to go left, you stay on the
left.
On the left. You want to go into town or Ricardo's.
If you want to go straight, you stay on the left.
Stay on the left. You want to go to FT William Highway.
You want to go right or around, you stay on the right.
On the right.
I really appreciate the caller for speaking about signage.
That's a big point.
Yes, we as a matter of fact, when the airport roundabout was resurfaced, there isn't any marking now, and so persons are getting confused. And so I want to ask the general public to, while you are using the roundabouts, to just be mindful and be careful, because sometimes you have the right of way and someone else think that they have the right of way, and so they would just cut across you. And so you as a driver have to be mindful. Sometimes you have to give up your rights. And I would say that to persons all the time. Just be mindful whenever you're using the roundabout, because we all don't use the roundabout correctly at some point.
Let's go back to the phone line. Thanks for your honesty, Donnelly. Good morning. Hey, Father Link Up. Blessed love.
I turn on the age later, so I was having a conversation concerning the roundabout. Now, quick question. If you're coming from Canary, heading to Basti, right, and you want to go to, let's say you're going on the highway going to Mountain area. Now, if you're coming in the roundabout, right, You're supposed to be on your left side all on the going round and then you go straight through.
No.
So you're saying that once you come from Connery
Mm-hmm.
and you're crossing the roundabout, you're supposed to be on your right hand side?
Yes. Yes. Once you get to the stop, when you're coming from Connery, you get yourself in the you immediately indicate of your intention. If you want to go on the F.T. Williams Highway, or you want to come around to go to the airport, or if you want to go back to Connery, you indicate and you go into the right lane or the inner lane, and you continue your journey.
The reason why I ask a question is because I was coming around the roundabout, coming from Bastille, and I was on the left hand side, right, because I'm coming out of Canada into Canary now. And somebody coming from the King Collins Highway, coming on the roundabout, coming to a speed in the roundabout, and they swing straight over in front of me and go on Canary. That's how you're supposed to work.
Could you repeat that for me again, caller?
When you're coming from the King Collins Highway, right? Because we come from Class D, right? I come from the factory road. So I hit him wide because I go straight into Connery.
Yes.
So I hit wide up to the gateway side.
Yes, you still left.
So when I go around the person coming from King Collins, come around, put in your clothes. So I continue still because I know once you inside you have to go right back to the roundabout, I will go right back to King Collins.
Yes, he's correct. Once he's coming from Kim Collins, once he's coming from the Kim Collins Highway and he's going to Connery or he's going back around the roundabout, he is to stay on the inner lane or the right lane. If you are coming from Bastille and you're going to Connery, you stay on the left, so you are correct. But you have to remember, we are giving way to traffic from your right.
Look at it, officer. I understand what you're saying, but imagine you're coming from the King Collins Highway. Now, once you're coming from King Collins Highway, you're not already coming on your left side, you keep on your left side all the time coming past. Now you're going to enter the roundabout. How is it now? You're going to cut on your right. You're going to cut on your right to go round the roundabout, close into the roundabout, and when you reach round the roundabout, you're going to cut left now to the Canary.
When you're coming from the Kim Collins Highway, you're saying that you're keeping left?
Yeah, you're on the left side.
No, when you're coming from Kim Collins Highway, if you remember we drive on the left-hand side of the road, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're coming from Kim Collins Highway and you want to go to Bastille, you would put your indicator on and you would indicate to be on the left side.
Exactly.
Right. If you're going to Connery, you indicate your indicator, put on your indicator to go on the right, which would be the inner. I'm really not understanding you with what you're trying to say.
Well, from what I'm gathering, Father link up, hold on a second there, because we're short in time. But I thank you for calling, right, my buddy? And I'm going to be real quick. From what I'm picking up from what he's saying at some point, based on what you're saying, you're going to have a collision. Because if someone is coming from Kim Collins Highway and want to go to Connery, they're going to take the inner lane. The inner lane. Which is the right lane. Which is the right lane. But if someone is coming from Bastille, going to Connery, they're going to be on the outer lane, which is the left lane. So at some point, you're going to have two individuals going to Connery, one on the left and one on the right.
One on the right.
And he's
coming from Highway Road, where we call that.
Right.
I come down and I enter into the roundabout. You're coming around the roundabout and so
right.
Me. I am the left hand side because I keep the left because I go to Canary. Now you're going to come in the roundabout, the inner roundabout now, which is on the right hand side, but yet I am the left going to Canary and you dig into the Canary.
But buddy, hold on. You're missing. We understand you almost end up in a situation, and I understand your frustration. But what Donnelly is saying to you, right? In a situation like that, because it's a roundabout, you're not supposed to be driving fast. You're supposed to be driving slow. and at the same time give way to the traffic on the right. So if someone is coming from Kim Collins going to Connery and you're coming from Bastille and you're on the left side, all she's saying to you is give way to the person on the right so they can maneuver and go to Connery.
Exactly.
That's all she's saying.
Exactly. And
So,
it-
I understand everything she's saying.
Because remember-
I'm saying.
yeah, we understand.
I pattern your indicator to the left. You pattern your indicator to the right, and you still don't go left. That's what I'm telling you.
We understand.
Pattern the indicator to the right. You don't come around the road.
We understand.
I suggest that she keep him back to the King College and he going wrong because the right indicator is on, but the left indicator is on, indicating that I'm going left. That is Connery. If the right indicator is on, indicating that you're going either back around the roundabout or you're going back to King College. So you cannot see out few cars in front of me without the indicator.
Father Link Up, I suggest you meet Donnelly because
yes.
you're creating your own rules now. You're creating your own rules.
I think that we should have a discussion.
Yeah.
You know, we should have a discussion on this, okay? Off here.
All right, buddy.
Okay.
But thanks for calling.
No problem. I don't see very often.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Respect, man. Yeah, man. I understand what he's saying, but he's still bypassing the giving way to the right aspect.
And
He's
that's
holding on to the point that he's right,
Yes.
and he ain't getting up the fact that he's right. You know. So.
And you have to give way to traffic from your right.
Yeah.
Yes, I recognize that we are at the end of our program, JQ. I want to thank the general public for tuning in and always being so such a good supporters. We respect you and we appreciate you. Thank you so much and have a great week.
Nice one.
To break traffic laws, I have seen what speed can do. Here I am to your rescue to help you to live. Just take this advice I give. You're simply the best. Better than all the rest.
Are you looking for a place that provides skilled nursing care and rehabilitation services to people with special needs?